So today is the 12th of September 2023. Okay, I'd like to talk to you about plotting line graphs. Okay, we started yesterday and I did an example with you. Okay, now before I start, thank you to everyone who has been watching our videos. Okay, I appreciate it a lot. Could you please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, and following us? Okay, if the account is not yours, please ask for permission before you do that. Okay, please follow. I normally write in the comment section, follow my notes/script. So for instance, this is A10.5. So if you hear otherwise, follow what is on the script. Okay, thank you. Now beware of scammers. Okay, please don't be scammed. Okay, if somebody is becoming nice and chatting and asking you to donate money in the name of this platform, it's not me, so don't do it. Okay, don't even just block them or report them. Now, in our last lesson, in our recap last lesson, we plotted coordinates on graphs, and then we said the x comes first, followed by the y. Okay, I wanted to show you something, okay, which it escaped me a bit. Yesterday on the graph bit, I intentionally did on the x-axis, I did 6, 8, 10. Instead of 12 and 14, I made it 11, 12. The scale is not to scale, but 6, 8, 10, then it should be 12, 14. Okay, the graph that we didn't go beyond 10, but assuming we're supposed to find x and y when x is 12 and we use this part, we will get it wrong. Okay, so please follow that good habit of doing the scale right. Normally in the exam, they will give you a graph paper. Okay, if you are not starting from 0, you should shorten your graph, which I've shown you how to do. Okay, but if you are starting from 0, then use equal intervals. With eye judgment, this is not even right. This should have been 12 and 14. So I wanted to show you this. The graph didn't go beyond 10, but I extended it a bit just to show you. So for instance, today, this is 10, 15, so 20 will be somewhere here. But assuming I did 10 and 15 there, it even by eye judgment is wrong, even though it's not to scale. Okay, so be mindful of that. So if you see both axes, I've tried to label it right. Okay, and if look at the intervals, okay, it's eye judgment, 0 to 5, 0 to -5 on the y-axis. Remember to label your axis. This is your y and that will be your x. Okay, now we want to plot the point 10, 5. So 10 and 5, so 10 here and 5 on the y. Your x always comes first, so that is your point A. B, 15 minus 10. So 15 on the x minus 10. Okay, so that will be your B point. 15 minus 10. C, minus 10 minus 5. Okay, so see here, minus 10x minus 5. So it will be somewhere here. D, minus 15 positive 10. So minus 15 and then positive 10 for the y. So somewhere here. Okay, all is by eye judgment, but we've tried to use equal. It will be more accurate on the graph. Okay, but we've tried to use equal scale, okay, to get this point on this graph. Okay, now we plotted a line graph and found the equation yesterday. The equation of the line we said is y equals mx plus c, where m is your gradient, which is the change in the y divided by the change in the x. C is your y-intercept, where the line cuts the x-axis. Okay, so if you know these two, okay, you can substitute it into this equation, and then that will be the line, equation of your line. Okay, now our starter for today. If it takes 50 men to build a house from the scratch in 90 days, how long will it take 11 men to build the same house? So it's going to take 50 men to build the house, okay, in 90 days. Okay, a full house, 15 workers. Now, so they have these days to build, okay, but now they are short of 4 men. So how long will it take 11 men? So if I divide 15 by 15, I have 1 man. So the same 15, I'm going to multiply by 90 days. Okay, so it means 1 man, 90 times 15, will build it 1,350 days. Okay, so if 1 man will take this, then 11 men, okay, will take 1,350 days divided by 11. Okay, so when you divide this on the calculator, you have 122.7 days. Now we can leave our answer as 0.7 because 0.7 can be seen in terms of hours. So they will do 122 days, and on the 123rd day, it won't be a full day, okay, which we can easily calculate in how many hours. Okay, so we can leave our answer here as 1 decimal places. We've done a similar question like this before in one of the videos, but I want to bring this status that even if you are stuck and you have a question and you want to revise, you can use this type of status to help you revise. Okay, so that will be our answer here. So 15 men, 90 days, 11 men, short by 4, then they have to use more days, 122.7 days. Okay. Now, today, okay, find the equation of the straight line. Okay. So here we have the y-intercept as 7. So this point is 0, 7. Okay, so straight away our C is 7. Now we have 2 points, 2, 5 and 10, 0. Okay, so we know our y-intercept. Our gradient will be the change in y divided by the change in x. Okay, I wanted to also say something about this. Don't make this x1, y2, x1, x2, y1. Okay, if it's x1, then it should be y1. If it's x2, then it should be y2. So to find the gradient, if I decide to go by this first, then this have to subtract. Then I come back to this and this subtracts. Okay. So now y2 here is 0 minus 5, y1. x2 is 10 minus 2. Okay. So we have minus 5 divided by 8. So if we substitute minus 5 divided by 8 in place of m, we are going to have minus 5 divided by 8x plus 7, because our y-intercept C is 7, as we can see here. Okay, so we can leave our answer as this. This is the equation of the line. But we can also go further, multiply both sides by 8. So if we do that, we have 8y minus 5x plus 56, because 7 by 8 is 56. When you multiply 8 by 5 over 8, you get rid of the 8. So now we can write 8y equals 56 minus 5x. Okay, or we can write 8y plus 5x equals 56. So here I've written 8y plus 5x equals 56, but I could have also written y equals minus 5x minus 5 over 8x plus 7. Okay, so unless you are asked to leave your answer in the form y equals ms plus c, so unless they ask you to leave your answer in this form, you can go further and get rid of the minus, this minus here, because you can always retract your step backwards. So I've just, this is right. Okay, that is right, and in that form is right. So if I want to go back here, all I did here was to multiply by 8 both sides. So if I divide both sides by 8, I'll come back here. Okay, so I can leave my answer here. If they ask me to leave my answer in the form y equals mx plus c, you stop here. If you have time, you can go further, multiply both sides by 8, leave your answer 8y equals that, or that, or that. Okay. Now, the second example I want us to look at before we stop today is draw the following straight line y equals 2x plus 5. So straight away, your y-intercept is 0, 5. Okay, your gradient is 2. If you use y equals ms plus c, in the intervals minus 15 plus 15 on both axes. So they've given you the intervals you should use. So don't use your own interval here. So look at it on both axes. So minus 15 on the x. Here is still not a graph. So I've used my eye judgment. So I've done equal intervals. Don't do 5, 10, 11, 15. You won't get it right. So here is another one. 5, 10, 15. Okay. Minus 5, minus 10, minus 15. And my 5, 10, 15. It's still eye judgment, but it's not to scale. Okay. So I'm asked to plot this graph. I know the y-intercept. So straight away, my y-intercept will be 0, 5. So the line will cut here. Okay. But if I have only 1 point, it can be that way. 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 Okay. So I need to use the formula I've been given. So what am I going to do? I know when x is 0, y is 0, 5 from the intercept. So that will be my first point. Then what about when x is 1? When x is 1, 2 times 1 plus 5 is 7. So I have a second point, 1, 7. So if I come here, because 5 is here, 2.5 will be halfway. So 1 will be somewhere here. So that will be 1, 7. So that's my second point. Now when x is 5, okay, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15. So straight away, x is 5, y is 15. So x is 5, y is 15. So now I have 3 points and I can easily draw a line. Okay, but I can also find when y is 0, what will x be? So I want y is 0. X will be 2x plus 5 equals 0. So x will be minus 5 over 2. Okay, remember when we're solving linear graphs. Okay, so now x will be minus 5 over 2 and 0. 5 over 2 is 2.5. So it's halfway between 0 and minus 5. So I have this. So I have enough points now, 4 points, to draw the graph. So they said I should draw it in the interval minus 15 to 15 on both axes. So I've drawn it here all the way. I can extend it a bit. Okay, if I have to get to the minus 15 and 15, but this will be my line. Okay, so that is it. So in this case, I've been given the equation. Okay, and now I'm using the y-intercept from the formula of the equation and the gradient. Now if you use any 2 points, your gradient should be 2. So we can test it and see. So assuming we use one of the points 5, 15, and the other one is 0, 5. We should get a gradient of 2. So the change in y will be 15 minus 5, which will be 10, and the change in x will be 5 minus 0, which will be 5. So that will be a 2, which is there. Okay, so we've tested the gradients and we've tested the y-intercept as well. So 4 points, we've drawn the graph. Okay, now you can use 3 points to do this under exam condition. You can still do 4 points unless they give you a table, okay, of maybe x values, and you have to fill in the table using the equation you've been given here and use those points to plot. You can always do 2, 3, 4 points, join them, because in the end you still get the same line. Okay, so this is how we draw the line graph. So as you can see, we've done the line graph here, and then we've used the point x is 0, x equals 1, x equals 5, y is 0. So we had 4 points. We saw our y-intercept from the equation, and we knew our gradient is 2, which we tested here using these 2 points. Okay, so basically that is how you draw a straight line graph. Okay, so that's a straight line graph. So what have we basically done today? We've done a recap of plotting coordinates. I've tried to emphasize the need to do equal intervals, otherwise you don't get the line accurately. And if you are supposed to use a point, for instance in this axis with this kind of scale, maybe find y when x is 11, and you do this, you won't get the right value for y. Okay, because you get a different point on the straight line. So as much as possible, if you are using eye judgment, or even if you are using the graph, try and have equal intervals. Okay, decide on the interval from the beginning and use that. Okay, and then we saw a starter. Okay, go and have a look at it again. Okay, 15 men, 90 days. So 11 men, it will take more days. Okay, so they are short of 4. So we found how many it would take for a man, and then we multiplied by 11, and then we realized that it would take this amount of days. And then we went on to do a similar example from yesterday, okay, where we had 2 points and we know the y-intercept. Yes, this graph has a positive y-intercept and it is downward. Okay, it is going downward. Okay, so that is why our gradient is negative. Yesterday our graph was the gradient was positive, it was going upward. So just by looking at the gradient, you know whether the graph is going downward or upward. So for instance, the gradient is negative, so it's going downward. Okay. So hopefully I've said everything I want to say today. Yeah. Yes, I've done. And then we use points to plot this graph when we are given the equation of the line. So thank you for watching our video today, and I'll see you in the next.